Greetings to one and all present today. Peace cannot be kept by force, it can only be achieved by understanding. With these great words of Albert Einstein, I, Vandana Revankar, Assistant Professor from Department of Business Administration, welcome you all to the second day of International Webinar Series on Awareness of Mediation Program conducted by SSMRB College in association with Snehi Mediation and Counseling, Bengaluru, India. A hearty welcome to our esteemed speakers of the day. Speaker of the day, Mr. Peter Singer. Warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Vandana. Hello, everybody from SMRE College.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Yes, a very warm welcome to the faculty members and the heads of various departments. A special welcome to our dear principal, Dr. S. Anil Kumar, sir. We welcome you.
Thank you, Vandana.
And a cordial welcome to all the participants who joined us in large numbers today from India and across the world. Welcome you all once again. Now, let us know a little bit about our college. Shivananda Sharma Memorial RV College, popularly known as SSMRV College, is affiliated to Bengaluru City University and recognized by UGC. SSMRV belongs to RV Group, one of the prestigious educational institutions. Our college has got an A grade by NAC for the first time during its third accreditation cycle. We are also proud to mention that our students got many ranks and gold medals at the university examinations. SSMRV College has recently been ranked 4th among the top 5 colleges in India for best value for money in the India Today MRDA Survey 2018. With the 360-degree Education for Wholeness as our foundation, we started out in 1984 to empower passionate students in the fields of commerce, business administration, and computer applications. Today, we offer numerous undergraduate, postgraduate, and emerging technology courses, tie-ups with international universities for pursuing MBA programs and research programs. These all promote the all-round development while driving innovations and research across domains. We have the best placement wing, having placed numerous students in the reputed companies. With excellent infrastructure, SSMRB is preferred as one of the best value for money institutions. It's time now to know the man behind the success of this renowned institution. I request Ms. Nandini, Assistant Professor from Department of Commerce, to introduce our dear principal, Dr. S. Anil Kumar, sir. Over to you, Nandini, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. A very pleasant morning, everyone. I am Nandini J, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, here to introduce our ever charming, inspiring, aspiring, and motivating resource of our college. Dr. S. Anil Kumar, Principal, SSMRV College, is a popular teacher among faculty and students. He has an academic experience of over 40 years in the field of commerce and management, both at UG and PG level, with more than 20 years of research experience. He is a recognized guide for many universities for MPhil and PhD programs and has produced 6 PhDs and 31 MPhils from various universities. Sir has been doing various UGC-sponsored projects and has published articles in leading national and international journals and conferences. He has authored more than 17 books in the field of commerce, management, and taxation. The reflection of his hard work and commitment has transformed into various awards. Mentioning a few, Sir has been awarded in recognition of dedicated service as a teacher conferred by His Excellency Dr. Hansraj Bharadwaj, the then Governor of Karnataka, organized by Rotary South, Bangalore South, and Karnataka Civil Defense Corps. He has been awarded for achieving excellence in education from RSST. Sir has received Dr. Abdul Kalam Gold Medal Award from Global Economic Progress Research Association, New Delhi, for individual achievement and distinguished service in education and research. He has been an NCC under officer and has won the Best Cadet Award. Dr. S. Anil Kumar has also been awarded a D.Lit by the University of Panama, US. Sir is also a NAC active member who has visited various colleges across India as a part of NAC assessment. Anil sir has got the Best Faculty Award by Vivekananda College of Arts and Science for Women, Autonomous, Tamil Nadu during the academic year 2020-21 and Lifetime Achievement Award during 2020-21 by Novel Research Academy, Pondicherry. Speaking on his key focus areas within SSMRV, his academic innovations like the 360-degree education for wholeness model with 5-dimensional approach and setting up of 30 plus activity centers are all stronghold strategies which aims to take SSMRV to the greater heights. The list is endless, but with due respect to time, let me contain my few words about him and let me invite our beloved principal to address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nandini. Good afternoon. We are very happy to host this 4-day international webinar series on awareness of mediation among non-law school students across the country and abroad. And this program has been organized in association with Snehi Mediation and Counseling, headed by Dr. Bharati Rao. And we are very happy she has taken maximum effort in organizing this particular program, and she has selected the best speakers in the world to bring awareness about mediation among the youth. I really appreciate her interest in the field of mediation, and we would like to take this forward, and we would like to introduce mediation program in our institution as certification program in future. So really, I appreciate her interest in this regard. And today, we have a very eminent speaker with us, Mr. Peter Singha, who is an alternative dispute resolution specialist from Melbourne, Australia, and also principal Bond National. And we are very happy to have you, sir. And really, we are waiting for your enlightened speech on mediation. And this will be really a very interesting one especially for the youth. And we are very happy. And once again, I would like to welcome on behalf of SSMRV College and RV Educational Institutions and on my own behalf. Finally, I would like to appreciate the entire team, the coordinators of this particular program, Professor Vandana, Professor Nandini, and Professor Bharati for organizing this very important event in our institution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. You're always encouraging us to take up new initiatives and also do something good. Thanks a lot once again, sir. Mediation is fast emerging conflict resolution method around the world, which picked up traction in the 1980s in the US. Today is popularly adopted around the world, particularly in Southeast Asia and Australia. Mediation helps parties settle their issues in a mutually agreeable way. And Snehi Mediation Center, or the Mediation and Counseling, is the brainchild of Dr. Bharti Rao, a certified mediator with Singapore Mediation Center, a level 1 panel member at the Singapore International Mediation Institution. It's an initiative to reach out, facilitate friendship, and assist with looking for solutions to difficult problems. So we have among us Dr. Bharti Rao from Snehi Mediation and Counseling, who would be giving us a little bit insights about the upcoming competitions. So over to you, ma'am.
The summer break is likely to be announced shortly. So before the students dispersed for summer, the idea was a little bit of what mediation is about should be introduced to the students so they discuss amongst their friends, their family, their teachers, and whoever it is that they come across. So in this way, the message of mediation would be getting across far and wide. So this is the awareness of mediation program. So in this context, Snehi Mediation and Counseling was started a month back. We put in place a YouTube channel with lessons, very basic lessons in mediation, just 12 to 15 lessons, each lesson simple, interesting, and informative with basic information of what mediation is all about. These lessons have lecture series, role plays, videos, interactions, and so on. So these are geared to the undergraduate student community, 17-year-old plus, who have no awareness or very little awareness of mediation. In this context, we also thought of a case writing competition in mediation, especially for non-law school students and for 17-year-old plus. The guidelines of submission are put here with, this initiative is coordinated jointly by Snehi Mediation and Counseling and SSMRV College, Bengaluru. The eligibility is any non-law school college student. There is no registration fee for this competition, and the last date for submission is 10th of May at 12 p.m. IST. So how do you go about it? The next slide, please. Yes, here are the submission guidelines. The entries will be blind peer reviewed so that there is no bias or partiality in evaluation of the entries. The entries will signify basic level of awareness of mediation, and they will be published in online e-journal as a handbooklet of caselets for teachers to use for teaching mediation across students and schools, colleges in India. Access to this free e-journal will be free, and anyone across India or anywhere in the world can access these caselets to teach mediation to students and otherwise. Next. Now, for someone who has almost no awareness of what mediation is about, this can be overwhelming. All you need to do is watch the simple, interesting, and informative videos created specially for you to understand what mediation means and various aspects of mediation. All of these videos are uploaded as lessons in YouTube channel Snehi Mediation and Counseling as lessons 1 to 12. Awareness of Mediation for Undergrads and 17 years plus. Lessons are serially numbered from 1 to 12. So all we have to do is you start from lesson number 1 and proceed to lesson 12. Lessons, as already stated, are just or short, just 35 minutes or max 40 minutes. So it will be easy. We also have YouTube videos. Lesson number 13 on how to write a case study in mediation. We have a separate lesson on sample case study, which goes hand in hand with how to write a case study in mediation. Lesson number 15 is enactment of a case, and lesson number 16 will give you all the information on how to submit your entry in the case writing competition that is being coordinated by Snehi Mediation and Counseling and SSMRV College. As a prelude to this, the requirement is you first understand the process of mediation by going through these lessons, lessons number 1 to 12. Once again, if required, ask your teachers, discuss among friends and others. This is very important. Then, with lesson number 13, 14, 15, and 16 as guideline, start creating your own case study to submit to this first of its kind competition in India. All the entries that are submitted will be published in the e-journal with the names of the case writers published thereon, along with the names of teachers and coaches also mentioned along with the case writers. Certificates will also be given to the selected entries jointly by Snehi Mediation and Counseling and SSMRV College. So here is wishing all of you the best and looking forward to a large and interested, active participation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a very elaborate and detailed instruction about the competition. I hope the students will make the most of it. Now, I think we are all eager to listen to our esteemed speaker for the day. It's time to know about our speaker, Mr. Peter Singer, Principal of the Bond National, Australia. I request Ms. Bharti NS, Assistant Professor from Department of Commerce, to introduce her to the gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vandana ma'am. Good afternoon. I am Bharti NS, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce our resource person for the day. Mr. Peter Singer arrived at his current conflict resolution career through what may be deemed as a very unconventional path. He transitioned from a salesperson, youth leader, porter in a hotel, and a photographer, a computer programmer who did not fit in, a successful IT business owner, a failed business, a failed web-based business, a part-time lecturer, finally to the present position he now is in as a mediation coach, assessor, course facilitator for Lead Our Resolution Institute and Monash University. All these earlier roles made him understand the magic and unpredictability of people as well as the depth conflict with others, which he thought he was good at. Mr. Peter Singer has completed Masters in Conflict Resolution at La Trobe University. He sits on several government panels and handles disputes in whatever industry that he can assist in. He's a fellow of the Australian Resolution Institute and very much into photography. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very, very much for that lovely introduction. And thank you so much, Dr. Kumar. So it's a pleasure to be here to presenting at SMRV. And Vandana, thank you for the logistics, and especially to Ma'am Rao, how the passion that she has for this field was conveyed when I met her. And I think you're very, very fortunate to have somebody who is actually even initiating the idea of bringing mediation to the commercial, to the IT, to the business management area, because like you, I do not come from a legal background. I come from a business background. I come from an entrepreneurial background. In fact, I've tried almost everything in life when it comes to profession. And I determined that this is where I would land, on the mediation. So I've been asked today to talk about mediation making life simpler. And that's a very, very natural topic for me to be talking about, because I believe it can make life simpler. I also believe it can make life richer. But most importantly, it's not an easy path. Don't confuse simple with easy. It is actually more challenging path, but the path can actually produce better results, because when people are empowered to work together, they can come up independently with decisions that they make together. They are more inclined to adhere to those decisions and to collaborate beyond in those decisions. Now, why, just before we go on, why make life simpler? Why make life richer? Well, let me ask you, can you take a moment, just think about it, the last time that you were involved in a conflict, that you were involved in a dispute, that you were involved in an argument, that you had a slight disagreement. Now, I'd love to see a show of hands, but I can't see you. But just take your mind back to that time when you had your own issue. My questions to you are, how much time, how much emotional drain did it cost you, or how much mental strain did it cause? Now, if you say, no, it didn't, good for you. If you say, look, it did, it upset me, I cried, I couldn't balance myself, I didn't see the person for another time, if you've answered in that way, you are very much a reflection of what we see that happens when people are in conflict. They are experiencing a crisis in human connection. And this is from the work of Dr. Baruch Bush, who wrote the book, The Promise of Mediation. And what he said is, when we are in conflict, we are unbalanced, and people seek to find rebalancing. Now, in his work, you do this through listening, acknowledging, and also clarifying exactly what it is that you are facing. He calls it empowerment and recognition. So the idea of mediation can be used absolutely everywhere. And I don't use it just in my formal mediations, but I use it as a natural manner in which to help me, as well as the other person, attempt to get better results than they could possibly get without using mediation techniques. Now, at the back part of my talk, I'm going to give you some very, very important mediation skills that I want you to go home and practice on your little brother, your little sister, not on your parents. All right, let's leave that till later, but whether you want to do it with your partners as well. But the approach, the mediated approach, can be used everywhere. Vandana, can I please have the next slide? This is me, and that's my youngest daughter. Now, I'm going to give you an example so you can actually use it. So this, I call it expectations of a dad. And I got asked the question, Dad, could we go out to the best restaurant in Melbourne tonight? Now, this was going to be a definite conflict, because I'm a very, very, very plain eater. I'm not a fancy eater. And I was tired because I had a busy day at work. And frankly, I didn't want to go to somewhere formal and to drive somewhere, but my daughter did. So how did we actually mediate in that situation to create an outcome that could be suitable for us both? So what happened? What was the result? The result was that we stayed at home. I found out, and we made our favorite dish together, which is pesto pasta, basil, onion, garlic thrown in, absolutely delicious dish. And we made a fantastic dessert, an apple crumble. And what my daughter wanted was, she wanted to wear some of her new clothes that she bought. And she also wanted to wear one of her new handbags that she bought. So what I found out was that she bought a number of them. So I said, why don't we make dinner together? We'll enjoy the meal. We'll sit here, don't have to waste time traveling. And what about you come in and give us a fashion show of what you have bought? And why don't you show me the handbags that you've bought? And then we can eat the meals that we want, that we love. And then we played a few games and we ended up watching Big Bang Theory, an episode of Big Bang Theory. And it turned out to be that we managed to actually create a resolution there, where in other situations, perhaps in my past, it would have been a conflict head on to say, I want to go to a restaurant. No, I want to stay home. You know, why don't you ever do something with me? But I was able to come to a resolution with my daughter because she just wanted to spend time with me. She said she hadn't spent time with me for a while. She did want to eat well. She wanted to wear her nice dresses. She wanted to wear her handbags, and she wanted that attention from me. Well, guess what? We were able to do it without me sacrificing my needs. We're going to come into that to show you, but that's what I wanted to start it off with, okay? So what happens is, why don't people attempt to mediate situations? And the reason is, and Vandana, if I could have the next slide, please. The reason is that there are obstacles that we face as people, and I'll come to those. But in our engagement with others, we're communicating with words and actions and bodily movements. And this is based on the work of Difficult Conversations by Sheila Heen, Bruce Patton, and other academics who've written a most interesting book. And they found out that people mostly in their conflict conversations talk about, you're wrong, I'm right. And from the other side, no, I'm right, you're wrong. But what's often not discussed is how you're feeling about something. And also, the third thing, what it deeply represents to you. So we remain stuck in the what happened conversation, but very, very rarely people say, you know what, it's making me feel very, very sad that I see that there's a disagreement here. And they don't state that I can't go along with that because I don't identify with it. It goes against my values. We are too stuck in one conversation. And this is one of the obstacles with what makes it difficult and what we have to overcome. Now, if we go to Dr. I'll come to his name because just Marshall Rosenberg, who wrote a book that Mr. Gandhi would have been very, very interested in. It was called Non-Violent Communication, which I understand Gandhi was one of the first proponents of this. Marshall Rosenberg taught me to say, what is alive inside of me? Why can't we live lives where what it is that makes us feel alive can actually exist within us? And also, if it's so good for us, can we help other people spark what is alive in them? What makes them feel connected? What makes them feel whole? So he really set on, is this a higher purpose for us in life? Now, I have decided to follow that in every situation that I look for what can be the higher gain, what can be the optimum outcome for everybody, not just me, but what can bring it for everybody. Why do I do that? Because I have a belief that if we all did that, that we actually could transform the families we're in, we could transform the workplaces we're in, and maybe all the people that we influence could slowly transform the society that we're in. So where does mediation fit in with all this and making it simple? Because in adopting a mediated approach everywhere, in the workplace, you name it, it helps you stay in control. It helps you face unpredictable situations, and it knows that you're taking appropriate steps. And this body of work is from Negotiation with Emotion, a very interesting paper that says the 3 obstacles that people face when they mediate situations, when they negotiate, when they have a dispute, is they fear losing control in the situation. And that's why they don't do it. They become concerned with facing any unpredictable situation. And the third one, they don't know how they're tracking. Vandana, just take it back one slide, please. Just hold in for that. So if you approach a mediated approach, and if you believe, yes, it could make life simpler, richer, or more interesting, you could find that mediation helps resolve relationships issues. Maybe it's with your partner. Maybe it's with a team member at the college that you're at. It can help resolve family differences. It can help resolve business disputes, because that's what I mainly do. I love going to family businesses and other businesses and helping them try and do something a different way. It can help workplace disputes. It can help neighbour disputes be resolved, even with customer care. It can, most importantly, in making life simpler, it can help change a situation that may actually be unbearable for the time. Vandana, if I could have the next slide, please. So, I want to give you some of the skills. I want to show you what they are. So, what can you personally do to start mediating as soon as you leave this lecture? Build the following skills. Okay, it's a great question. But firstly, understand what's your purpose. Is my purpose to out-negotiate the other person? Is my purpose to maybe quieten the other person? Is my purpose to embarrass somebody? Then if they are, then what you'll find is you will not succeed. Your purpose needs to be one in which you're aiming for an optimum outcome for everybody. How do you know if it's optimum? We'll come to that, because you actually engage with them to find out. But let's have a look at some of the things. So the first skill I'm going to tell you about is listening skills. Now, I imagine that even in the 15 minutes that I've been working on this lecture, that, you may recall 1 point, 2 points. Listening is a skill that needs to be honed every opportunity. Some of you may be thinking, who is this fellow in Australia? Some of you may be thinking, why isn't he wearing a tie? Some of you may be thinking, why isn't he calling Dr. Kumar sir? And that's what happens when you listen. You get distracted. The idea of listening is to be present with that person. Now, I'm going to give you something here. It's a big breakthrough. Just because you listen to someone does not mean you agree with them. That's a very, very key point. So when you listen to someone, afford them the respect, the luxury, the privilege of expressing everything that they want. It does not mean that you agree with them. I'm going to give you a story shortly. Acknowledging skills. I don't know if you noticed. I would do it normally, but I did it deliberately this time. I acknowledged Dr. Kumar. I acknowledged Vandana. I acknowledged Madam Rao, because acknowledging people is a critical thing for them to feel, oh, the person actually heard me. Another one I'm going to give you is replace certainty with curiosity. One of the biggest errors is making the assumption that you know. Replacing certainty with curiosity will enable you to actually get to a breakthrough and a solution. Another mindset to maintain: accept that there will be conflict everywhere, especially in the workplace. Look, we're all from families. We know that there is conflict in families. Another tip I want to give you: work on the issue from above, from a helicopter view. Once you're in the issue, it becomes very, very hard because you're hooked in, you're caught up in the issue. So you have to work on the issue to attempt to determine how to do things, not to get right in there. Next thing, I think it's important to have skills knowing how to forgive people, because we all make mistakes. And I get people who ring up, Mr. Singer, I'm so sorry, I should have delivered you that 3 days ago, I feel bad. And I said, I don't. So, why feel bad for me? Drop it. It happens to me as well. It's okay. And I give people 1 chance, and I give them 2 chances, and I give them 3 chances, because I know that we're all human. We're going to make mistakes. Remember that point. You may notice that I just deliberately paused to show you the power of the pause, because it gives people an opportunity to intensely focus on when they are. And the next thing is understanding needs. And I'm going to explain what needs are. So Vandana, please, the next slide. Oh, sorry, Vandana, just before you do that, there's one very, very important thing. Very important to learn how to say a firm version of no. And I know culturally that we all do it differently, but at some stage, we need to be able to have that boundary and say no. And what you follow it up, that no, with is, but what could work for me is this. So a no is a very powerful thing, because it then gives you an opportunity to express what could work for you. Okay, Vandana, next one, please. I want to tell you a story. I do a lot of negotiation work. And I got a job that every boy dreamed, I know I'm not a boy, but every little boy would dream of. And a client said to me, could you go and purchase this Ferrari California over the other side of the country? I want it, and I want it before Easter. Everything seemed to be going well. He had a Mercedes convertible to trade in, and I got a good price for him, and everything seemed to be going smooth. The Ferrari was being transferred over from the other side of the country. The finance was all going smoothly. The trade-in was taken away, and the next day I received a phone call. Never met the man before, and he said, is that Peter Singer? And I said, yes, who's this? The man lost control. He went wild. He was insulting me. He'd never met me before. He was cursing me. He was telling me I'm going to regret the day I was born. He was giving the most disgusting language. He was being the rudest person I could ever imagine. And I was sitting there saying, what do I do? Why was he upset? Because he believes his agent paid too much for the trade-in on the Mercedes. Not my fault. I went along with what he was saying. So he was swearing and cursing, and this went on without break for 45 seconds. And I was kept on saying to myself, what do I do? What do I do here? When he finished, I still didn't know what to do. And I waited. And there was silence on the phone for that long. And he said, hello, is anyone there? I said, yeah, I'm here. He said, well, what's the matter? And I said, I'm just trying to imagine what it's like to be in your shoes right now. Just note that phrase. I'm trying to imagine what it's like to be in your shoes right now. As soon as I said that, the man's temperature dropped from 100 to 20 immediately. And we were able to engage and actually get everything sorted out. It was an important negotiation, but we managed to do it. But I want you to understand the power of the first thing I said to you was the listening skills. Now we're going to move to a critical thing to make life simpler, and that is understanding what needs are. We all have needs. Some of you may have seen I've had a drink because I haven't been well lately. Bharati knows, and it's good to soothe my throat. That's my need. I need for people to leave this presentation knowing that they've gained a lot out of it. You have a need to perhaps come in and see, what is this that the college is talking about, mediation? Is it of interest to me? You may have a need to say, Peter, finish your talk quickly. I want to go and have lunch. We all have needs. Vandana, would you mind going on to the next slide, please? And I want you to have a look here. This is an iceberg. We all know a story of the iceberg with the Titanic. And what looked like a small piece of ice above the water was actually substantially bigger under the water. Under the water. Now, above the water is what the people on the Titanic saw. That represents, in conflict, where people say that this is what I want, their positions. Underneath the water are their needs, and it's about what is psychologically driving the person. And our goal in mediation is to drop that point, that psychological conscious level, to find out what is in the unconscious, what's important for them. And if you're having any difficulty with a person in a conflict, in a negotiation, I want you to look at these 5 prisms as to whether ignoring these may be entrenching, digging in the problem, maybe causing the problem to dig in. Whether have you acknowledged appreciation of them? Have you indicated to them that you're connected, that you have an affiliation? Are you robbing them of decision-making ability? Are you paying attention to their status? And are you making regard of their role? These represent underlying interests. So let's go back to my story with my daughter. She wanted to be affiliated because she wanted time with her father. She wanted to be appreciated for what she had purchased. She wanted to show. She also wanted to have her decision acknowledged with autonomy, and I just gave her some offers, still encouraging her position. And they were the 3 that covered it. But by addressing those 3 things, I actually was able to avoid a conflict. That diagram is a critical diagram. Why? Because it shows you how to make life simpler. Don't stay above the water. Go beneath the water, and I'm giving you some tools on how to do that. So can we go to those tools next, Vandana, please? And here are the ways in which you get under the water. You ask someone and you say to them, what makes going to the best restaurant important for you? Could you tell me more about why you want to go out? Yeah, I've got new clothes and a new handbag. I wanted to use it. How might help you? What would it be if we made ourselves the most fantastic meal and I got you to show me all the clothing and all the handbags? You do a fashion show. What would happen if we went to the restaurant and it didn't work out as you wanted? How would spending time with me, not wasting in our travel, feel for you? What would stop you considering making your favourite meal here, sitting down here and having more time to wear the clothes that you want, watching your favourite TV show and playing some games? These structures are critical because they ask people in a non-threatening way to tell you more about their needs. And I'm giving you those because each of us ask questions in our own way. And you may have a way in which you say, Peter, this doesn't sound right. Could I do this? The answer is yes. Do what you do that works for you. That's the critical thing, but use the framework. Can we go on to the next one, Vandana? Bharati, how am I for time? I've only got a couple more slides to do. Is that all right?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. Now, what happens when we find out my needs and going back to my daughter's needs, or going back to the agent with the Ferrari and my client, and my client's needs? Here's the magic of it. And this is through the work of Marshall Rosenberg in nonviolent communication. He says the magic occurs by just surfacing the needs of people, bring what's under the water to above the water level, out in the conscious level, what's in the unconscious. Once each person can say, I know what your needs are. I know what your needs are. Your needs are this. Is that right? Yes. And I know what your needs are, Dad. These are your needs. Yes. Now, once people reach that, then we can create options to resolve those needs, to help get those needs met. And in his language, to make people feel that what's inside of them comes alive. Because when we fulfill people's needs, what works for people, what comes alive inside them, helps make life simpler, richer, and more interesting. Vandana, if we can have the next one. And Bharati, I think I saw a question come up, and I'm happy to answer it now or at the end. But let's have a look at the words first, because these, like the needs, are special words. And the words are, what may help? What may work to help solve this? Your needs and my needs. What's one thing we could even just try to see if it works for us? Well, what could we do instead? What would you absolutely never, ever consider? Now, these questions are from Professor Ken Cloak, a very, very expert mediator from Pepperdine University, who has written a most wonderful book called Resolving Conflicts at Work. And I highly recommend Ken Cloak, his podcasts, his interviews that are on the internet, because he's a fascinating, fascinating gentleman. Again, take these questions to create options, because as soon as you ask one of those questions of somebody, what happens is they get serotonin flowing to this part of their brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is the cognitive part. And they have a little piece in their brain called a reticulation activator. And as soon as you ask a question, even the eyes pop up like that, and the brain searches for an answer. And if they can't come up with an answer, or it's not perfect, you say, well, look, no, that wouldn't work for me, but what might work for me is this. So you see, I'm tying in all the little pieces of what's been involved. Vandana, if I could have the next slide, please. So what I've done with you tonight in talking about the purpose and the benefit of using mediation everywhere to make life simpler, richer, and hopefully more interesting, is most importantly, accept that conflict will exist. Work on the conflict from above. How are we going to do it? Don't work in the conflict. Once you're in it, you're hooked into it. Work from above, from a helicopter position. And it might be something like, well, Peter, do you mind if we discuss this before we discuss that? Peter, do you mind if we actually escalate this too much? Do you mind each time we have a 5-minute break? That's working on the problem, not in the problem where you're saying, no, I want to go to the restaurant. No, I don't want to go to the restaurant. It's too much money. It's taking time. A mediated approach will lead to something better. And what you need to do along the journey is to accept your mistakes, learn, and improve on the way. And if you do that, I assure you that your experience in the workplace, once you graduate SS, MRV, that you will be a leader, that you will be a person who will determine the culture of the environment that you're going to. And that's worth lives, because too sadly, many people are very, very miserable at work only because they don't have these skills. So I finished my presentation and I'd be very open to handle some questions. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, sir. Really, we are very grateful to you since you're not well, and yet you have managed your time to give us such an insightful and amazing session today. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
very, very welcome. You're very, very welcome. Now,
Yes.
I know
And
what's happening.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead, Vandana. Go ahead.
Yes, we definitely learned a lot of things today, sir. Like, yes, the quote really holds well that conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional. And it holds very good today that you have shared with us that we should have a higher purpose, or we should know what the outcome would be in a situation, to improvise on relationships and to ask certain tractions or reasoning which can help people not get into conflicts and yet resolve any issues smoothly. Thank you so much once again, sir. I would request if participants have any questions, they can put it in the chat box now. We can have it asked to sir.
And I believe, Bharati, do you have a question to ask?
How do you say no? That is something, it's quite important. How to handle the saying no part of it.
Yes. I mean, no, yes, no, yes. I'm going to answer the question. Madam Rao has asked a very, very critical question. How do you say no? And in order to be able to say no, you actually have to know yourself. Know yourself, know thyself, know what are your values, know what you stand for. And by knowing your values, what you stand for, what your principles are, who you are, you then have to practice. You have to practice, because in saying no if you're not used to it, you do not have the neural paths in order to exercise it. So I would, if I was somebody who could not say no, and I like helping people, so I would have to say I probably have 8 yeses to 2 nos. But when I say no, I look because perhaps it's not achieving a higher purpose that I believe in. It's not matching my values. It goes against my principles, or it just is not convenient at the time. And in fact, Bharati, we had an example ourselves, because you asked me to speak and I said I can't because I'm not feeling well. I just got COVID. And you said, well, of course, sir, you look after yourself and please let me know. Now, had I not said no, then I could have come, but you see, I would have been coughing a lot more than what we had done. And then, Bharati, there was another example. I think the initial time may have been during my beauty sleep. As you see, I haven't got much beauty sleep, but during my beauty sleep. But what I said was, Bharati, that doesn't suit me from the time. Would you be willing to consider an earlier time? So no is about who you are. And as I said, be ready to produce a phrase that helps you determine, but what would work for me? Or no, I can't do that. Would you be willing, Bharati, to do it a little bit earlier so that you come and ask for something else? Now, in saying no, there's also the corollary, which is hearing no. And sometimes it's difficult. But I want everyone to appreciate when someone says no to you, they are being as genuine and working with integrity. And all you need to do is adopt your mediated approach, which you will learn through SSMRV, and be able to say, good, they're not getting their needs met. Let me help inside them what will make them come alive. So if I get a no, I say, oh, okay, what might work for you? Well, thank you for your integrity with me. What might be something that could help it? Because I don't want to force my will onto somebody else's will, and I will not let someone force their will onto me. And that's why, Bharati, a beautiful question. It's important to practice no by knowing yourself, but it's also important to embrace that moment when someone says no to you. I hope that answers the question.
Excellent. So we will have to practice saying no by usage of the right language, the right tone of voice, and the facial expression, everything. We will have to keep practicing it as a part of our repertoire. Yeah.
Very much so, Bharati. Practice, 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 practice. So even after doing this for 20 years now, this is my 20th year, I am still learning phrasing. These are not innate skills.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, Bharti ma'am, for that beautiful question. And thank you, Mr. Singer, for answering it so well. You made it simpler for us to practice saying no now.
Just in the right circumstances, all right? Don't get into trouble. When I was your age, the students, there was a cricketer that came out to Australia by the name of Madan Lal. Has anyone heard of him?
Yes, sir, yes.
Excellent, excellent. So I read the news in India in order to prepare for this, And there's a character who came out maybe at the same time, maybe a decade later, whose name is Arun Lal.
Arun Lal.
Now, Arun Lal, I learned, is marrying a woman 30 years younger than himself. So I asked students, what mediation skills from here would you go and teach Mr. Arun Lal in order to have a simpler, happier marriage with what he's about to enter into? All right then. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Yes,
It's been
sir.
a real pleasure with you.
So I think the session was really informative, sir, and I don't think any more questions are there. Now we can ask our principal, sir, to share a few thoughts on the session.
Yes. No, we are really very happy that we had such a eminent speaker in the field of mediation, and really would like to thank Peter Singer, sir, for accepting our invitation and enlightening our students and faculty on mediation. It was really, very educative, and really will take it forward with the help of Dr. Bharati. And we would like to spread this particular mediation program in our institution and other institutions, and introduce the certification programs and mediation as their career in their life.
Yes,
So
wonderful.
again, I'd like to thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation. Thank you so much.
It was my honor, and thank you for inviting me, sir.
Peter Singer was down with COVID, and I'm particularly thankful to him that he agreed to come, and he's done this session today. And other than the introduction part, there are a few other very interesting things that viewers need to know. He has done an intense program in La Trobe University in conflict resolution. It's not a short 40-hour program or a few days program. He's done a very intense program in conflict resolution and mediation in La Trobe University, and he has been an evaluator and judge in very high-profile mediation competitions for students, like in Paris, which is really the in thing. I couldn't make it in person. He was the evaluator in these competitions, and I was fortunate to meet him in the Asia Pacific commercial mediation competition in Australia. So and he's also very much into photography, taking this into mediation.
Nice to have you among us, sir, today.
Thank you.
I
look
would
forward to-
request.
We would like to have some more sessions later.
Sure, sir. Yes. I request Ms. Nandini to please render a formal vote of thanks for today's session. Over to you, Nandini, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So I, Nandini J, Assistant Professor from Department of Commerce, here to propose vote of thanks. I wholeheartedly thank our resource person for the day, Mr. Peter Singer, for his wonderful speech on mediation. Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. Bharati Rao for her enthusiastic initiation. I thank our leader, support system, and backbone of SSMRV, Dr. S. Anil Kumar, for his continuous encouragement in each and every step we make. I also thank all the HODs, faculty members of SSMRV College and other colleges in India and across world. Last but not the least, I thank students of SSMRV, various parts of India and across world. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Nandini. Thank you once again. Participants, stay tuned for tomorrow as well on at the same time, same Google Meet link for another interesting session tomorrow. So please join back. Tomorrow we will see you again. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Thank you, everybody.